Gumball. At first glance, he may seem like an ordinary blue cat, but the city he lives in, Elmore, is far from ordinary. This story is not just about the daily adventures of a cartoon character. It is also a story that questions reality and explores friendship, family, and destiny. If you're ready, let's take a look at this chaotic but equally profound story from beginning to end. The Amazing World of Gumball is a huge journey spanning 6 seasons and 240 episodes. The first episode aired in 2011, and the final episode hit screens in 2019. Gumball is more than just a children's cartoon. By blending different animation styles, offbeat humor, and character depth, it became one of the series that changed the course of Cartoon Network. Let's start with the Watterson family. Nicole, the backbone of the family, extremely hardworking but loving. Richard, the laziest but most pure-hearted father in the universe.
Well, I was feeding a squirrel some nuts.
Darwin, once a pet fish, now Gumball's best friend.
Convinced you, but you convinced me.
Aeneas, a 4-year-old genius, ahead of everyone else.
On the plate to your right are the cupcakes. On the plate to your left is the bad food, like liver and stuff.
And, of course, Gumball, chaos incarnate. It all started with the first episode, The Responsible, which aired in 2011. When Nicole entrusted her children, Gumball and Darwin, with their little sister Anais, things quickly spiraled out of control. The house was flooded, the internet was blamed, and classic Watterson chaos ensued. The next episode is the DVD. Gumball and Darwin accidentally break a DVD. But it's not just a normal break, it shatters into pieces when touched. They need to find a solution without Nicole finding out. What do? They shoot a fake movie. Cardboard alligators, toy trains, complete nonsense. Of course, Larry doesn't buy the plan. Just as everything is about to fall apart, Nicole arrives. And boom! Instead of a $25 fine, they get hit with a $700 penalty. Nicole pays and the kids get off scot-free. Because in Elmore, responsibility is just an idea. The next episode is the third. Gumball and Darwin need a third friend. There are plenty of choices at school, but everyone is weird. T-Rex Tina? Flying Eye William? Or Banana Joe? They're all too strange. Then Tobias shows up, but his friendship comes at a price, and Darwin is the one who pays. Gumball is suddenly left out. Jealousy sets in, and games begin. Gumball teams up with Alan for revenge, but he's not at ease, because no matter what, Darwin is his best friend. They make up at the end of the episode, because in Elmore, friendship is built with the heart, not money. The next episode is The End. When Gumball and Darwin hear the word end in the news, they panic. Without listening to the whole story, they think the world is going to end. Emotional goodbyes, heartfelt confessions, preparations, all unfold one after another. They act as if everything is about to end, but the truth soon comes to light. What they heard was just the last day of school, so there's no apocalypse or anything like that. This episode shows how childhood fears can be exaggerated and how misunderstandings can lead to such consequences. Another important episode is The Ghost. Carrie appears on stage for the first time. Unable to eat, this ghost takes over Gumball's body and begins to eat voraciously. Darwin falls in love with her. In this episode, love, hunger, and madness come together. And Gumball, he remains a guest in his own body. The next episode is The Laziest. Richard argues that Elmore is the laziest of creatures. To prove it, Gumball and Darwin find an even lazier one, Lazy Larry, but they accidentally restart him too. Richard finally gets off the couch, but he is so tired that he wins again. When Nicole arrives under the pretext of cleaning up, she again takes over everyone's work. The next episode is The Party. Rachel throws a party, but the little ones can only enter with a date. Gumball misunderstands and goes with Tina. Penny gets jealous. Darwin supports Rachel, and there is a romantic moment. Gumball realizes Penny's note too late and messes everything up. And the kiss scene ends, with Richard honking his horn. Chaos, jealousy, and love collide in a single night. Another important episode is The Pony. Gumball and Darwin suddenly meet someone they don't recognize, Rob, but they've seen him many times before. The problem is, they don't remember. Rob's existence is erased, no one recognizes him. He tries throughout the episode, but he is forgotten again. This is the first sign of the theme of the forgotten character and Rob's tragedy in the Elmore universe. The next episode is The Fight. Gumball has to fight Tina T-Rex. He is scared and tries to run away, but everyone expects him to be brave.
Please! Fight!
When they meet, things change. Tina is really just lonely. Gumball sympathizes with her and the two form an unexpected bond. This episode shows the emotions behind bullying and emphasizes empathy. The final, the Watterson family faces all the nonsense they've been pulling all season. Bills, school, social pressure, it all collapses at once. The solution? Create even more chaos. Kenneth returns. The war with Hector begins. Before the universe collapses, reality is reset and everything is restored. This episode is the first major reset of the Gumball universe. Season 2, we continue to delve deeper into the story with the remote. The Watterson family goes to war over the TV remote. Tactics, alliances, and betrayals fly around the house. Even Nicole gets involved, but Richard hides the remote. In the end, everyone goes mad and the TV explodes. This episode is the culmination of family chaos, a clear example of how a small thing can turn into a big war. The next episode is The Job. Richard finally gets a job, pizza delivery man. But his work destabilizes the universe. Time bends, rules collapse. Nicole and the kids intervene in the pizza delivery to save reality. And when Richard is fired, the world returns to normal.
Frivolous Pizza Handbook!
I fire thee.
This episode shows for the first time how fragile the Gumball universe is. The next episode is The Hero. Gumball wants to see his father Richard as a hero, but Richard doesn't seem to deserve it. Nevertheless, Gumball searches for the good in him, finds it, and in the end he becomes a real savior. Richard becomes an unwilling hero. This episode brings an emotional but funny touch to the father-son bond. The episode where feelings and confusion arises, The Dream. Darwin has a dream about Gumball's girlfriend, Penny, and panics. Gumball thinks it's a betrayal, but things get complicated. We finally realize that Darwin actually has feelings for Carrie. This episode gives the first hints of Darwin's love life and lays the foundation for the Carrie arc. Another episode summarizes what can happen when roles are reversed, The Sidekick. Darwin is tired of always being in Gumball's shadow. This time he wants to be the leader, that is, no longer a side character, he wants to be the hero. The two switch roles, Darwin comes to the fore, but the balance of power is upset. Gumball gets jealous. Friendship turns into conflict. But in the end, they realize that walking side by side is much more valuable than one overpowering the other. Friendship is not based on roles, but on the heart. The next episode is The Skull. Hector, Elmore's quietest student, finds a mysterious skull, and things suddenly take a dark turn. As Gumball and Darwin investigate the strange object, they realize that Hector is a much more powerful being than they thought. A giant wizard, a potential threat, but also a lonely boy. His mother keeps him under constant pressure because his power can get out of control. Gumball tries to see him as a person, not a threat, but this approach also pushes the limits. This episode is the first time we get a sense of the darkness that lies beneath Elmore's surface cheerfulness, and Hector's power is a harbinger of great things to come. The next episode is The Limit. Nicole goes to the grocery store to buy just a few things, but the list gets longer and longer as the kids ask for more, so long that she finally loses control. Piece by piece, her patience is worn thin by the children's unrelenting demands. And finally, the famous scene. Nicole's rage destroys Elmore. Even the camera style changes. The episode suddenly turns into an anime fight scene. Nicole tries not to hurt her family even as she turns into a giant rage monster. This episode is not just a mom crisis, but a scream of years of accumulated oppression. The last major highlight of the season is The World. Gumball begins to lose touch with reality. Sounds distort, scenes repeat, characters become strange. Something is wrong. In this episode, time is broken. Events are mixed up and clearly shown to the audience. This world is much more fragile than we think. Even in Rob's absence, emptiness is felt. In the finale, nothing is solved, but everything is broken. This episode is the first time that the fact that order can break down in the Gumball universe is fully realized. Season 3. We'll start the season with the kids, the most exciting, darkest episode of the season, with Rob returning. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin think they've grown up and stop acting like children. But what happens? Nothing is as fun as it used to be. Faced with responsibility, boredom, and seriousness, they realize the value of being kids. This episode asks the question of whether we have to grow up in a fun crisis. The next episode is The Fan. Sarah becomes obsessed with the lives of Gumball and Darwin. She follows them around, takes pictures, and even starts writing her own stories. As Gumball and Darwin try to get rid of her, things get even stranger. This episode deals with the absurd question of where admiration ends and discomfort begins. This episode reveals the hidden heroes of the universe, the extras. Gumball and Darwin always see the same faces at school. Background characters. These extras are bored. They want to be the stars of the story too. But being at the center is not as easy as it seems. This episode explores the theme of everyone has a story with a playful rebellion. The darkest part of the Gumball universe is the void. Gumball and Darwin realize that something is missing in Elmore. Some characters, as if they never existed. Together with Mr. Small, they explore a region of nothingness called the Void. There, forgotten characters, old mistakes, and Rob is waiting. This episode reveals for the first time how easily the universe can be erased. The next episode contains scenes of Rob having a who am I crisis, the nobody. Gumball and Darwin feel a strange presence in the house, but can't see anyone. Traces follow them, shadows shift, and then Rob appears. This is the rebellion of a character who feels forgotten, erased, as if he never existed. This episode is Rob's first real scream, from being ignored to being driven to madness. The other important episode we're going to look at is the shell, where Penny doesn't want to hide anymore. She wants to break her shell to show her true identity, and she finally does. She is no longer just a quiet girl in a nutshell, but a powerful, shape-shifting being who can hardly control her emotions. When Gumball sees her for the first time, he is shocked, but not afraid, because he loves Penny with his heart, not just her appearance. For the first time, he expresses his feelings honestly, confesses his love, and kisses her. This scene is the turning point in Gumball's journey from childhood to youth, the moment when he meets his true feelings. This episode is not just a love story, but a symbol of courage, acceptance, and inner freedom. The next episode is The Oracle. Banana Joe's mother, Barbara, can see the future through her drawings. Gumball accidentally sees himself in one of these drawings. He's in the middle of a disaster, naked, and everyone is staring at him. How could this happen? The more Gumball tries to change the future, the faster events unfold. The more he runs, the closer the prophecy comes to fulfillment. Finally, the moment in the picture happens, just as it was drawn. This episode is the first time in the Gumball universe that the concept of the future is taken seriously. Is it fate, coincidence, or a path that has been set? Another important episode is the Inquisition. A new inspector arrives at Elmore School and launches a radical plan to transform all the students into human form. The goal? To stop chaos and bring order. Gumball and Darwin see their friends change one by one. Arms, bones, skin, everything transforms. The truth is soon revealed. Rob is behind this humanization project. He is only trying to save them because he realizes that this world cannot go on forever, but no one listens to him. His plan is foiled, his cover is blown, and he is left alone. The episode is the first time the Gumball universe faces existential threats. And yes, we're going to review the last episode of Season 3, The Money. In this episode, when the Watterson family runs out of money, Darwin and Gumball go to work. The goal is to get rich. The plans are crazy. Fake business ideas, money traps, even attempts to attract investors to their house. Richard tries to decorate the house to increase its value, but of course things only get worse. Finally, Nicole steps in and reminds her family, money is temporary, but family is everything. Season 4, a series of events that threaten the universe, begins with The Return. It's the first day of school. Richard forgets to drop the kids off, and on the way back, he thinks he's lost them. Paranoia sets in. He acts like a detective. He makes a mess everywhere. Gumball and Darwin are actually quite safe, but Richard turns it into Hollywood action. This episode is an absurd story of how irresponsibility turns into heroism. Another important episode is The Nemesis. In this episode, Rob poses a real threat to Gumball and Darwin. Rob becomes a rival to Gumball with his past troubles and his combative demeanor. As the episode highlights Rob's dark and disturbing side, the conflict between him and Gumball escalates. Rob's presence shakes the balance in Gumball's world and turns into a struggle that pushes the characters to their limits. The next episode is The Disaster. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin face an unexpected disaster. Everything spins out of control and the world around them descends into chaos. As they try to solve the problems, the bonds between them are tested. The episode emphasizes the importance of friendship and solidarity in chaos. The next episode is The Rerun takes place immediately after the disaster and deals with the idea of rewinding time. Gumball is forced to rewind time in order to fix the disaster. However, each time he encounters a different outcome, and nothing goes as he planned. He feels trapped in the time loop, and the more he tries to fix things, the more complicated things get. The episode is not only funny, but also dramatic and thought-provoking. The finale leaves the viewer with the question of whether everything is fate or choice. We're going to take an in-depth look at Darwin's life in the next episode, The Root. An unexpected revelation about Darwin's past comes to light. He learns that he was adopted. This fact causes Darwin to question his own identity and his ties to his family. Gumball does his best to make sure his best friend doesn't feel left out. As the two share both emotional and absurd moments, the episode reaches a deeper and deeper point. In the end, it is emphasized that love is much stronger than biological bonds, and the Watterson family's love for Darwin makes everything clear. The next episode is The Choices. In the midst of the chaos at home, Nicole wonders, where did I go wrong? And she takes us back in time. As a teenager, under pressure to succeed, she meets Richard. Clumsy but naive, she rejects the life planned by her family and chooses her own path. This episode is about the one decision that changed Nicole's whole life, choosing love. Another important episode is The Signal. Suddenly, everything starts to distort. Voices shift, animation dissolves, faces become pairs. Gumball realizes that reality is broken, but no one takes him seriously. There is a strange connection between the television signal and their lives. This episode makes it clear for the first time that Elmore is really a cartoon series. The next episode is the night. Everyone sleep, but minds wake up. Nicole finds herself stuck in an endless office. Richard marries a cake. Darwin returns to the ocean. And Gumball realizes he's dreaming in his dream. This episode opens up the character's subconscious in a playful but striking way. Even sleeping in Elmore is not ordinary. The next episode is the final. Rob takes control of the universe. By remote control, he disrupts Gumball's life piece by piece. Everything collapses, reality falls apart, but Gumball rewinds time, returns to the past, and tries to save Rob. This finale reminds us that the enemy is actually a forgotten friend. Season 5 is much darker and more confusing, so let's start our deep dive into the season with the copycats. Gumball and Darwin discover that their lives are being copied exactly in China. At first it's funny, but then it gets creepy. When they confront their copies, reality blurs. This episode offers an absurd yet poignant story about authenticity, identity, and the crisis of self. Another interdimensional journey is the box. Gumball and Darwin find an abandoned box at school, but this box is not ordinary. When they enter it, they encounter gateways to different worlds. Universes change, logic shifts, characters metamorphose. The box shows unlimited possibilities and the different consequences of each choice. This journey, which begins with childish curiosity, reminds us how fragile reality is. Another reality-distorted episode is the console. When Gumball and Darwin fire up an old game console, reality turns 8-bit. Everything is now canonical, limited, and full of glitches. They try to complete the missions, but the system collapses. Even Nicole gets involved, but nothing is as it seems. This episode explores the theme of freedom and control through a fun game metaphor. Life can be a game, but the rules are not always fair. The next episode is the stars. At Elmore School, success is now measured in star points. Whoever gets more stars is considered more good. Gumball and Darwin start to change their behavior to get ahead in this system, but things get out of hand. Everyone enters the race with fake smiles and exaggerated favors. As the stars rise, personalities disappear. Fake success replaces real values. This episode is a funny but harsh look at how the desire for social approval transforms people. The next episode is the X. Rob is back, but this time he's targeting Nicole, not Gumball. He thinks he's Nicole's ex. Even if he's not real, he wants to fill in the blanks of the past. Gumball cannot accept this and tries to protect his mother. But the real conflict in this episode is not about the past, but about acceptance. Nicole doesn't regret her past, but Rob's obsession puts everyone in danger. The X shows how obsession can mix with nostalgia and become detached from reality. Another important episode is the gripes. Gumball and Darwin start complaining about everything. School, friends, the weather, the water. But without realizing it, each complaint begins to distort reality. Small troubles grow, and Elmore slowly disintegrates. An entire city is on the brink of destruction simply because of dissatisfaction. In an absurd collapse of the universe, this episode shows how contagious and destructive constant complaining can be. If people don't stay positive, reality will never stand firm. Another episode is the menu. When Richard gets the order wrong, a scene ensues. But this is no ordinary restaurant. Every moment of their lives unfolds as if written on a menu. As Gumball and Darwin try to go off the menu, the universe breaks down and the scenes intertwine. Who will do what and when seems predetermined. This episode blends the question of free will or fate with comedy. Reality may be a plan, but Gumball never follows it. The next episode is The Matchmaker. Darwin falls in love, but Gumball wants to take matters into his own hands. He decides who would be the ideal match for his brother, makes plans, pulls the strings, but love doesn't work by plan. The more Gumball intervenes, the more Darwin pulls away. This episode shows in a funny but meaningful way how even well-intentioned guidance can turn into controlling behavior. The next episode is The News. In Elmore, the news station starts distorting the truth for the sake of ratings. An ordinary Gumball incident turns into a giant media disaster. Meaningless rumors, fake heroism, and manufactured crises fill the screens. In the end, everyone starts to believe what they feel, not what they see. This episode is an absurd but apt satire on the power of the media and the effect of manipulation. If there is no real news, there is no reality. Season 6. Let's start with the first episode, The Rival. When Anais is a baby, a newborn cousin comes home and steals all the attention. With a quiet but clever plan, Anais tries to outwit her rival. This episode shows how she thinks strategically, even at such a young age. She looks sweet, but her intelligence and jealousy cause chaos. Another episode is The Pact. Gumball and Mr. Small unwittingly begin to share each other's secrets. An emotional pact forms between them, but things quickly get weird. Gumball inadvertently enters his teacher's inner world and can't get out. This episode questions the importance of boundaries and personal space in a funny but disturbing way. The next episode is The Stink. Gumball and Darwin question Mr. Small's obsession with the environment. When Small exaggerates his environmental awareness, he decides to escape Elmore and play catch in the woods. But nature is harsh, full of wild leeches, mushroom traps, and even the legendary stink ape. Small eventually returns, but he's not the same anymore. This episode comedically explores the absurd conflicts between environmentalism and realism. Another episode is the intelligence. The Gumballs meet a new artificial intelligence that connects to devices at home, Elmore Plus. At first it makes things easier, but then it starts to control everything. Things go awry when the AI tries to control the family. This episode shows in a crazy but clever way how trust in technology can turn into addiction. The next episode is the uploads. Everyone in Elmore starts uploading their lives to the internet. Gumball and Darwin start making exaggerated, fake videos to get more views. But over time, they forget their true identities. Everything becomes algorithmized. This episode shows in an absurd way how we can lose ourselves for the sake of social media approval. Another episode is The Lady. One day, Richard disguises himself as a woman, saying, "It's easier to be a woman." But things get out of hand. Everyone takes him seriously and builds a new life. At one point, Richard even finds himself questioning who he is. This episode deals with gender roles, identity, and the perception of society in an absurd but clever way. Another important episode is Sucker. Darwin decides to be friends with Julius, the most difficult boy in school. But this friendship is not a healthy one. Julius uses him, manipulates him, and binds him to himself. Gumball intervenes, but Darwin's goodness obsession is stronger. This episode shows how innocent toxic relationships can start. The next episode is The Cage. Gumball meets Hector's mother at the gym and challenges her, but this woman is one of Elmore's toughest characters. Soon the rivalry turns into a kind of battle of egos. This episode humorously shows how muscular arrogance and blind competition can lead to absurdity. Another episode is The Revolt. Household appliances, furniture, even the toaster revolt. They want revenge for years of being used and exploited. Gumball and Darwin are suddenly forced to fight their own stuff. This episode shows with an absurd rebellion that even ordinary objects can have their limits. The next episode, The Final. A new supervisor arrives at Elmore and wants to make everyone more decent. But his plan is unusual, to turn all the characters into humans. As Gumball and Darwin try to stop this change, reality slowly collapses. Rob is the name behind it. He wants to save everyone, but no one listens to him. In the final scene, the void begins to swallow the world, and the screen freezes. No explanation, no epilogue. Just a giant question mark and the anticipated movie. Gumball, the movie.